Hi, my name is Adib Dada, and I'm the founder at the Other Dada Architecture Lab. I'm bringing to you Beirut RiverLess project, which aims at bringing Beirut River back to life. We witnessed the degradation of the Beirut River and its connected infrastructure, resulting in a negative impact on the surrounding communities and environments. So we see illegal dumping of waste, loss of ecosystem services, and high population densities. Beirut RiverLess aims at bringing Beirut River back to life through a human-centered perspective, through stormwater management and flow restoration, community engagement, and collaborative partnerships. Located in Lebanon, Beirut River extends 30 kilometers from its natural mountainous terrain through the city of Beirut and into the Mediterranean Sea. Why is the river important? Because it provides us with ecosystem services, such as provisioning services, regulating services, supporting services, and cultural services. And also because in our part of the world, water is the new oil. So how is the Beirut River today? We witnessed the historical development of the Beirut River from a natural river into an artificial infrastructure, starting with the implementation of the Roman aqueducts in 50 BC. In the peri-urban section, we can see raw sewage being dumped in the river valley, a city that is disconnected from its river, a desolate urban environment, and a high population density around the river, further compounded by the influx of 1.2 million Syrian refugees into Lebanon. We see the dumping of raw sewage, dumping of garbage, dumping of industrial waste, dumping of slaughterhouse waste, and even unloved pets. And where do they all flow? It all flows into the Mediterranean Sea, which makes it a local problem with a global impact. It is important that we bring Beirut River back to life. Life at an environmental, social, and economic level. How? By using biomimicry at the systems level and developing the Beirut River genius of place, we can bring back the ecosystem services to improve the resilience of the city and the living conditions of communities nearby. Looking at stormwater drainage as one example, the river has lost its ability to regulate floods. So we ask, how does nature manage flow? And it does so by embodying resilience through variation, redundancy, and decentralization. So we intervene with blue-green streets, sponge parks, and green roofs that work together to protect natural and man-made assets, maintain ecosystems, and ensure public health services. We started developing a genius of place and found one champion organism, Platanus orientalis, or the plane tree, which can intercept around 3,000 gallons of rainfall annually. And it does so by having a multi-layered architecture to its canopy. So we get inspired by those ideas to start with a 10-kilometer square pilot project in the poorest part of the neighborhood. And we'd like to start with proven, easy to implement, and replicable strategies such as blue-green streets, accessible pedestrian bridges, PV panels, and public parks. Looking at case studies from around the world, we see in South Korea, Saudi Arabia, the US, and Cleveland and Los Angeles. And we place them on a scale from the artificial to the natural, and we find surprising that Beirut River is not a worst-case scenario. So we'd like to take it, to bring it back to life by taking it from a simple type 1 ecosystem to a complex type 2 ecosystem, turning linear waste streams into circular waste stream, stormwater drainage into management, linear economy into circular economy. So taking a degraded infrastructure and turning it into a healthy ecosystem. Then we ask, how does nature thrive? And it does so by cultivating cooperative relationships. So we've built partnerships and enabled collaborations to draw our current ecosystem map, which includes the Ministry of Energy and Water, UN Habitat, Tandem Works, Made for Brands. So Beirut RiverLess is a self-initiated project 2 years in the making with 2 major partners doing pro bono work. This is our call for you to join us, turn a local problem into a local solution with a global impact.
And thank you. So questions?
I'll start this time. So can you tell me a little bit about how climate change will exacerbate or maybe prioritize some of the interventions you're proposing for the river?
Definitely. I mean, with climate change, we're seeing a very irregular climate in Lebanon. So 2 years ago, we had a very severe drought where we didn't have any water very early on in the year. And with all of these issues, all of this waste being dumped in the river and in the streets, it's just the aquifers are being contaminated. So we're not able to pull out water from the aquifers. So that's one of the major issues related to climate change.
What is, it might have been on one of the slides, but you did a good job of going through quickly.
What is the timeline and investment needed to make some of these really tangible changes that you want to make in the river?
So as I said, it's been 2 years in the making. So it's a project that we self-initiated when we felt like there was a need to do so. And over the past 2 years, we've managed to bring in the Ministry of Energy and Water and UN Habitat. And UN Habitat is basically going to help us with the funding. So they're giving us technical expertise. They're mapping the infrastructure because the existing maps either don't exist or basically don't reflect what's on the ground. So we're looking at starting with the first interventions within less than a year, pending the first round of funding that we'll be able to get. But our project is going on through awareness campaigns and social media campaigns and all of these things that are going on at the moment.
Cities around the world are addressing these same issues on rivers and cleaning up. What is your innovation or uniqueness with your approach?
I think the approach, from one point, the circumstances are quite different than what we see, for example, in the US or in Europe. The issue of the density, the poorest neighborhoods, the influx of refugees, all of these make it kind of like a different context. But also our approach that has to do with biomimicry. So I was only able to show one example of how we're approaching that. But this is a major component. So we're really going to look at how all of these interventions work together as a system and not just doing stormwater management, which is something that's been done in Portland, for example. And so how do we tie all of these together? How do we bring in the community to participate? So we do a lot of community meetings. We're on site every couple of weeks talking to people on the street, talking to refugees who don't have access to the internet or to social media and things like that. So I think that kind of biomimicry approach and the different context is what sets us apart.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a follow-up question to that. I think one important piece of resilience is the way that communities are engaged. And can you talk a little bit more about how these organizations are reaching out and bringing people into the project?
Yes. So we've been going to site every few weeks. So me and my team, we just go and talk to people on different topics related to the environment. We've enlisted the work of our collaborator, Stanworks, who are doing more focused community engagement work. So they're organizing focus groups, and of course we are at every single focus group meeting. We've been contacting and attending meetings with all the local NGOs that are working in these areas. So there's more than 20 local NGOs, each one working in a different sector. But so we are talking to each one of them and trying to build partnerships with these people. And as I said, really talking to the people in the neighborhoods.
Excellent. Brendan?
I do, but I don't have enough time to give you an answer, or for you to give a good enough answer.
So we will just have to conclude with another. There's so much suspense in this. It's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.